Coming up next on Locked On Devils, the Walking Wounded have returned to New Jersey for practice for the first time in November, and they got their work cut out for them tomorrow night. It's one of the biggest surprises in the Eastern Conference is coming to town. We're previewing the New Jersey Devils versus the Montreal Canadiens next on Locked On Devils. Cue the intro.
You're Locked On Devils, your daily podcast on the New Jersey Devils.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Devils your first listen every day. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. My name is Zach Berman. You are tuned in to Locked On Devils. And of course, thank you for tuning in wherever you may be listening or watching. The Devils are finally back practicing on the ice of the Prudential Center for the first time in the month of November. The 9-4 New Jersey Devils. I think if I were to tell you to this point of the season, the Devils would be 9-4, I think a lot of people would be pretty content. Yes, I know there's some underlying stuff. Perhaps maybe I've even been a bit too harsh on them. But we're going to talk about where the roster stands with some injury updates. We got plenty of them from Sheldon Keefe this morning at practice. We're going to preview the Devils and Habs tomorrow night. And also, a little bit of cause for concern with the slow starts again. Not to be a broken record, but it's a problem again. But the New Jersey Devils practiced this morning, and there's some good news and there's some not some good news. And we start with the good news. Connor Brown, it looks like, is going to be back for tomorrow night. He was on the third line with Timo Meier and Dawson Mercer. Mercer back at center, interesting. And I did say Juho Lamiko to 4C and Glendening to the bench. Instead, we got Glendening to right wing and Brian Hallonen to the bench. I don't agree with that, but I'm happy to not see Glendening at 4C anymore. And I do think Lamiko has played better than him to earn the spot. But still, just goes to show the Devils' need for another bottom six center. Now, that's not to say that the cavalry isn't coming, because we got good news today on both Cody Glass and Zach McEwen, who both skated today in non-contact jerseys. McEwen's injury was never disclosed. Cody Glass is an upper body per Sheldon Keefe. He says, I would not expect either guy tomorrow, and they will practice Friday, and then we'll see regarding, I would assume, either Saturday's game against the Penguins or Monday's game against the New York Islanders. Now, boy, did the New Jersey Devils miss Connor Brown in the two games they did not have. And Amanda Stein asked Sheldon Keefe how much the team could feel his absence, and Keefe said too much. And I would wholeheartedly agree. Connor Brown has been such a valuable asset to this team, and I did not expect him to score that much. He's shooting at a much higher clip than maybe his underlying suggest he will be all season long, but I did not think that the Devils brought him in for their bottom six scoring as much as they brought him in for his defense and his penalty kill, and he is such an important piece of both of those aspects. He's just a stabilizer in the bottom six. Was a phenomenal ad by Tom Fitzgerald, and they missed him. They missed him big time. So looking like we're going to get him back. Sheldon Keefe did say that he's going to make a decision with the medical team tomorrow, so I would lean to say he is probable against the Habs, but that is where we stand with the forwards, except for Evgeny Dadonov, who is still a ways away, and that is a bummer. Ugh. Gosh, this team needs him back so badly, because guess what? Andre Palat is still on the second line with Nico Hischier and Arseny Gritsyuk as of this morning, and I want to be so excited about Gritsuk and Heischer playing together, but you have a $6 million anchor just weighing that entire line down. And ever since Palat was moved off of Jack's line, yeah, Jack has flourished with Bratt and now Stefan Nason. But on the other hand, now you're taking down your second line by putting him there. I would put Timo Meier back on line 2 and have Palat on line 3, but then that makes line 3 unplayable. You get what I'm saying. The horse has been beaten to a pulp already. I don't need to beat it again until Andre Palat gives me a reason to tomorrow night. Jonas Siegenthaler and Dougie Hamilton back at the first defensive pairing. Brendan Dillon and Luke Hughes. Okay, they're mixing up Dillon and Nemec. That's not a thing anymore. Dillon back with Luke. And then, why are we doing the Cholowski-Nemec pairing again? That did not work on Sunday. But I guess you don't really have a choice until Brett Pesce comes back, hopefully sooner rather than later. Still know he's dealing with an upper body injury. It's going to be a while. This team misses him. I miss him. And it's going to be a challenge because Montreal is a team that is all go, go, go. They are a rush team and then some. They don't really have that much in terms of defensive defensemen. And they play a very Lindy Ruff style of Lindy Ruff Devils, let's be specific here. That is the style they play. And if you have a guy like Brett Pesce or Jonathan Kovacevic or both of them playing the roles that they should be playing, this Devils team matches up really well with the Habs. We saw them match up well with the Habs last year. And I'm not nearly as confident in tomorrow night's game without Pesce and Kovacevic as I would be with the team at full health. But let's get into it with Montreal. They will be starting Jakub Dobeš tomorrow night, the Czech goaltender. He is 6-0 on the year in 6 games played, 6 starts. He has a .930 save percentage, has allowed 1.97 goals per game. He has been excellent. Did have his first, I guess you could call it a bad performance on October 28th against Seattle. Still got the win, but allowed 3 goals on 24 shots. That is by far his worst performance of the year. He also allowed 3 on 31 shots in Vancouver. Yeah, he had a whole chunk of the Western Canada swing for the Habs. But he has been awfully solid, had a .909 save percentage a year ago, and now a .930 save percentage right now this year. The Habs are, of course, coached by Martin St. Louis, who has brought this run and gun style to Montreal. Feels like a very nice evolution of Habs hockey. And that at the moment has placed Montreal on top of the Atlantic Division with 19 points. They are 1 point ahead of the New Jersey Devils after picking up a point in a shootout loss against Philadelphia last night. Montreal 9-3-1, New Jersey 9-4. And when you talk about just the offensive firepower that the Canadiens are bringing to the table, you have to start with their captain, Nick Suzuki, who is already knocking on the 20-point doorstep. 3 goals, 16 assists. He has been every bit as good as Habs fans would expect out of a captain. Cole Caulfield just snipes pucks for a living. The American winger, 16 points in 13 games, 10 goals, 6 assists. Lane Hudson, after the breakout last year, is looking like what they're all hoping him to be up in Quebec. 13 points in 13 games. But tomorrow night, and I will be in the building tomorrow night, who am I most excited to see as a hockey fan? I think everybody is going to have the same answer. It's going to be Ivan Demidov, who the 19-year-old Russian winger has 12 points in 13 games, scored last night against Philadelphia, 4 goals, 8 assists. He's a +4. He's just electric, and you can't look away when him and Hudson are wheeling and dealing. Juraj Slafkovsky has picked up the pace, the Slovakian first overall pick from a few years back. Was picked right in front of Shimon Nemec, now up to 8 points in 13 games, 6 goals, 2 assists. And other than, how can I forget? Former New York Islander Noah Dobson, who is a +2 right now, but he has been volatile since getting traded to the Habs. He's been very Noah Dobson, for lack of a better term, has 1 goal, 7 assists in 8 games played. He is a +2, like I said. Now, Montreal has been getting meh goaltending from Sam Montembeault and very good goaltending from Jakob Dobes. But their defense worries me. If I were a Habs fan, not a Devils fan. If I were a Habs fan, you don't really have that high-quality defensive defenseman. Mike Matheson is good. He's probably the best they have, but even he leans a little bit more towards a two-way game. And then who do you have behind that? Caden Gooley, Jaden Struble, Alex Carrier, and then Arbor Xhekaj, who not sure if he's going to draw in tomorrow or not. Did play last night against Philly. 5 penalty minutes. It sounds like Arbor Xhekaj. But this Habs team worries me if I am a Montreal fan because they just don't really play defense. That's just the style of hockey they play. And it wound up burning them last night at home against the Flyers. They fell behind 3-0, scored 4 goals in the second period to take the lead before blowing it late, losing in a shootout. And these Habs, they are playing in high-scoring games. They allowed 4 goals to the Rangers, who aren't really scoring all that much. 6 against Edmonton. Hey, everybody allows 6 goals against the Oilers here and there. Allowed 3 to the Canucks, 3 to the Kraken, 4 to the Kraken, 5 to the Red Wings and the Leafs. The Leafs have not been that good to start the year, so I don't love that if I'm a Habs fan. But at the same time, it's tough not to be excited if you are a Montreal fan because of just the young talent is emerging, and you have your Demidovs and your Caulfields and Suzuki really becoming the stabilizing Nico Hischier-esque force that Habs fans hoped he would be when they acquired him. I think it's an exciting time to be a Montreal fan, even though I don't necessarily see them going far into the playoffs. If they wind up playing a Carolina or a Florida or even a New Jersey at full strength, I can't see the New Jersey Devil. I can't see the Habs winning a playoff series against a very sound defensive team. But hey, that is months away, and nobody's guaranteed to make it in this early in the season. All right, so when we return from break down the Devils side of things for tomorrow night, and a little bit of concern regarding the slow starts because, yeah, those 1-0 thems, they're starting to creep up a little bit. But, yeah, you are tuned in to Locked On Devils. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch. Let's be honest. Most of us can't even name all our financial accounts, let alone what they're worth. But between 401ks, savings, and investments, it's easy to lose track, and that can mean leaving money on the table. That's why I started using Monarch, an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. It has helped me organize my accounts, track my spending, and get a better handle on my investments without having to touch a spreadsheet. I love that I can review everything with my partner, see our shared goals, and then make better financial decisions together. Monarch's visual dashboards and smart tools make it so much easier to understand where my money's going and how to make it work harder for me. Don't let financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Yeah, what was that? Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNHL for 50% off your first year. That's monarch.com, code LOCKEDONNHL for half off your first year. Welcome back, Locked On Devils. I'm Zach Berman. Now it's time to talk Devils regarding tomorrow. I would expect them to be starting Jacob Markstrom, who is coming off of his best performance on the year in LA on Saturday, winning 4-1. He stopped 40-plus shots. We went through the injury updates. Otherwise, your lines, Line 1 would be Stefan Nason left wing, Jack Hughes first line center, and Jesper Bratt right wing numero uno. Line 2, Andre Palat left wing. Nico Hischier, line 2 center. Arseny Gritsyuk, line 2 right wing. Line 3, I'm very intrigued by the third line here because it is Timo Meier and Connor Brown being centered by Dawson Mercer. I know Mercer prefers to play wing, but he has been so good to start the year. I thought he looked pretty good in his little foray at center after Cody Glass went down. I believe it was the Minnesota game. Yeah, it was Minnesota. He looked good there. I'm excited to see him back. And then that fourth line, Cotter, Lamico, Glendening. You know what? That's another generic screaming man sound effect. As well as the Cholowski Nemec pairing. A lot of screaming, warranted with just the way the roster is set up right now. There's so many crucial pieces missing from this team that they need back. And I think I speak for all the Devils fans. Like, if there's any way we could just get Brett Pesce and Evgeny Dadonov hurried up and back to the roster. Oh, gosh, they need it. But Montreal is going to present a tough task, as will Pittsburgh on Saturday. The Penguins, of course, are still riding high, perhaps a little bit higher than expected early here this season under Dan Muse, a new head coach. But the Devils historically have been pretty good against Montreal, at least this core. Last 10 games against the Habs, the Devils are 7-3-0 versus Montreal. It has been a pretty friendly opponent for them being the Habs, and Devils won all 3 of their matchups last year, 2 in Newark and then 1 in Montreal. The Habs will play in Newark twice, last year was once in Newark, twice in Montreal. This year is once in Montreal. That's not until, I believe, early April, if I'm not mistaken. And then twice in Newark. It's always been such a bucket list. I mean, I've been to Montreal. It's an unbelievable city. It is such a bucket list item as a hockey fan to see a game at the Bell Center. And of course, you want to see your team play in that spot, in that building. The Devils will not be playing Montreal again until first weekend of April, which they will have a home and home against the Habs Saturday night, April 4th at the Rock, and then Sunday night at the Bell Center. So we're really going to have our only taste of the Habs tomorrow night, which means that based on how these teams have started their seasons, the next time the Devils and Habs face each other, odds are both teams are going to be looking pretty different if both the Devils and Habs are in position to buy. So that's exciting. I think that's very exciting. But so we all know it. We all hate it. It is the dreaded 1-0 them that we have been so accustomed to as New Jersey Devils fans. And this season has just been more of the same, which is really frustrating because too often they're coming out flat, falling out quickly. They have given up 6 first goals of the game within the first 5 minutes of a game. And that number, unfortunately, would jump to 7 if you include the Toronto game a few weeks ago. Now, this team has proven that they can dig themselves out of holes. We know that. That's wonderful. That is absolutely great. But the last 2 games where they've fallen behind early in San Jose and then in Anaheim, they were not able to do that. And to me, it feels like a maturity thing. it feels like they're sometimes underestimating opponents, underestimating how quickly somebody's going to come out of the gate, and it's frustrating. It's something that I thought would go away perhaps with the new coaching staff. Like nobody's going to be perfect, and I'm putting this more so on the players than on Sheldon Keefe because we know that Sheldon Keefe is hammering home preparation, maturity. He is the perfect coach for this team, and I don't think anybody is disagreeing with that. It's just concerning that this bunch, and it's not just the same players, it's somebody different every night, seems to be struggling with starting on time. And we've reached the point now where the young core is perhaps not so young, and these guys need to be not making sure that this starting slow continues to be a habit because it will wind up making things much more difficult for the New Jersey Devils than they already are with all the injuries, with all the things that you're going to go through over the course of a season. And I'm not saying, you have to score first every game. I mean, it'd be cool, but it's just concerning that this keeps on happening and that this habit has jumped coaches even. And I'm confused as to why. Is it psychological? And it's not like every time it happens, it is, oh, this is an indictment on the team. Sometimes it's bad luck. It's a bad bounce. Those things happen. But every night, seemingly, it feels like the game starts and then you just get the notification on Twitter because everyone's watching off their Gotham app or whatever, and it's 5 minutes late. I do a lot for fast starts. And the two things that have been so frustrating over the years as a Devils fan are not starting on time and not finishing games. It's always been this team has somehow given up all these goals at the end of periods, and that has not been a problem yet this year. Knock on wood, it stays that way. But I just don't like the trend of falling behind early again and again and again. It's something we've seen in the past, and hopefully they can find a way to nip it in the butt before it actually becomes like some gigantic problematic thing for another season. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, we're just going to wrap things up here ahead of the Devils and Habs tomorrow here on Locked On Devils. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time, and hey, I'm using my code from Game Time to attend Devils Habs tomorrow night. I'm excited. Hockey season's officially here, and nothing beats being in the arena for those opening games. But let's be real, getting tickets can be a total headache between waiting in queues, surprise fees, and prices that jump right before checkout. It's easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on your team. That's where Game Time comes in, the app that gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NHL tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. I love that what you see is what you pay. No hidden fees at checkout. Plus, I can actually see what my view looked like before I bought the tickets with their in-app seat view feature. Their zone deals are a game changer. You pick the section, Game Time picks the seats, and you save big. You can even find NHL tickets for under $25. Take the guesswork out of buying NHL tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms may apply. That is code LOCKEDO on NHL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Game Time. Today's episode is also brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the National Basketball Association. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Things up here on Locked On Devils. We've talked about the injury updates, the line changes. We've given a brief preview to Devils Habs. Oh, I should probably say who I think is going to win the game tomorrow. I think a well-rested, frustrated Devils team that probably was skated into the ground at practice today. You kind of see after the Anaheim game, that has a bag skate practice written all over it for today. I think the Devils come out angry. The defense is maybe a little bit of a problem, but ultimately I have the Devils winning this game by the score of 4-2 tomorrow night. It is not going to be easy. Montreal is the one team ahead of them in the Eastern Conference, and like we've talked about earlier on this show, the Habs are going to bring their speed. They're going to bring their skill. They can shoot the puck in bunches and they can score the puck in bunches. But look for Jacob Markstrom to have a big game tomorrow. I think he stands tall. I think the Devils get it done and beat Jakob Dobis enough. He's going to be brutal to face. So I think they win. I'm going to lean optimistic for tomorrow. I can see there's a scenario where they don't. Well, of course. But that's just about all I have. We will talk tomorrow night. I'll recap post game from somewhere, maybe back home, when we will talk then. Thank you for stopping by and tuning in to Locked On Devils, and have a wonderful evening wherever you may be.